that. And then I said, I don't know if you've heard this phrase before, sorry to interrupt, but I told everyone there, what you gonna do about it?
You and my nephew would get along. He lives in Michigan. And he's like, I'm walking here.
Spotlight, be my witness. Only light left in the sky. Shouting hallelujah to that podcast in the night. You get your awesome stories and your midlife crisis too. Say the world got saved, y'all, when they added something new.
Hello and welcome, and thanks for tuning in to the first episode of Califorgilicious Spotlight. And you might ask, why is there a need for such a show? And well, the answer is simple. It's about me being depressed and offended because I had this conversation with one of my best friends, and I asked her whether she listens to my main podcast, Califorgilicious. And she said, yeah, I've listened into some of your episodes, but it's not really my cup of tea. And she is one of my best friends. And she added that she likes listening to scientific podcasts and also funny ones. So I guess Califorgilicious is not funny for her. And I told her Califorgilicious is meant to be funny, at least 24%. And then I realized I got depressed and offended deeply. So I was thinking maybe I need help. Not professional this time, but guests with awesome stories, awesome backgrounds that can help me with the show. So I decided to launch this experiment video part or video version of Califorgilicious. And I also need your help and support by following me on Instagram, on Spotify, on YouTube, and I think that's it. And you can check my website as well. Now, my first guest is Briana Gervat, whose amazing story basically triggered this conversation about different types of travels and journeys, and she has a historical background, which adds a little flair to her journey. So we talked. She's from New York, and this is what happened. All right, welcome everyone to the newest edition of Califorgilicious. This is called Spotlight, and here with me today is Briana Gervat, right?
Yes.
Who has amazing stories, I bet, because she has done so many awesome things. This is what, like, I welcome Briana, and this is what I would like you to correct and check upon. This is what I found about you. So Briana Gervat,
Uh-oh.
are
Oh,
you
what part?
ready? Yeah,
What part?
I did deep research. No, I did not. Not that. But here's what I found. Briana Gervat is a writer and a photographer. She holds academic degrees in art history and genocide studies.
Yes.
She completed long-distance walks, including the Camino del Norte in Spain and the traversal of the Western Front battlefields in France and Belgium. She's the author of Mosaic, I Once Was a Pilgrim, and There Will Come Soft Rains, which got published this year, right? So it's a fair book. Her work combines travel writing, memoir, photography, and historical reflection. How would you grade my homework?
I think you did a fantastic job. I think in this instance, the internet is a wonderful
Yeah,
place.
exactly. It makes things easier and more complicated at the same time. So tell me about your adventures and walks, because your journeys seem to be heavy in a sort of like a spiritual sense, right? And do you prepare for them, or if so, how do you prepare for them?
Well, if we're going to talk about it being spiritual, I think that in a lot of ways I'm guided to go on these journeys.
All
You
right.
know, if you are a believer in signs and the universe telling you, like guiding you in the direction that you're meant to go in, I just listen. I open up my heart, I open up my mind, and it's just like, hey, if you're willing to do this, we're willing to walk by your side and be with you every step of the way, so that way you can feel the things that maybe the world needs to feel, or things like that, you know? So, walking the Camino del Norte was something very spiritual for me. Because it was piggybacked on a pilgrimage that I went through the Middle East and the Balkans and parts of Italy. And it prepared me because it just felt so right. Walking those long distances, experiencing those places, it just felt like I'm meant to be here in this moment. I'm meant to experience this, whether it's for just now or whether it's going to expand for, other parts of my life.
For our listeners, you're saying these words from New York, right? So it's not that you are, I mean, someone, I wouldn't think that you're directly involved in one of these adventures. And I'm so grateful and happy that you mentioned this, because I have this thing for California. And so, like it feels that I'm in a club. I belong to somewhere. This, well, where you just travel continents, and you're moving freely in the world. So thank you for that. How, like, in the is it the your latest book where you wrote about your journey to the places of the Great War, the First World War, right?
Yes, yes, that's what I most recently did.
Yeah, so how did like, did you just wake up and you said, "All right, I'm going to visit the awful places of human history, and I'm going to start with the First World War sceneries," or how did it happen?
Well, so before I had traveled, I walked the Western Front. I had traveled to Rwanda, to study the genocide and what came after. And then, like I said, I was in the Middle East, and I was in other parts of Eastern Europe. I didn't make it to Lithuania, unfortunately.
Right.
Well, I've been to Hungary though, so I've been to your home
Oh,
country.
nice, nice.
Yeah. And, like I just feel like it was a part of me that I wanted to explore. It was not only wanting to explore the world, but how I felt in those places and how those places also made me feel.
I see. Uh-huh.
So I didn't wake up. It wasn't that I woke up and I was like, "Oh, I got to walk the Western Front." It
Right.
was that I couldn't sleep, and that's when it came to me.
Really? So it was like you were awake, awake at nights, and so this is not what happened.
No, 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 no. I was
Okay,
awake at
all
night, but
right.
I was also like, mindlessly scrolling on the internet because I probably didn't have a book that I was reading, or I just like, you know, I don't know what, like I was just scrolling and I saw a comment and it was written by the Western Front Way. And I was like, ooh, the Western Front Way. What is that? And then, like, before I even fell asleep, I just made the decision that I'm walking it. Like, whatever it took, I was going to make it to France and I was going to walk the Western Front.
The Western Front, how many kilometers or miles are we talking about?
1,000 kilometers, about 500 miles, a little more than 500 miles, through the terrain of eastern France into the flatlands of Belgium.
Oh my, okay. I also stole your Instagram, and one of your posts is about your, I think it's about the daily walks, like how much distance you've covered that day. And the numbers are like insane. I don't think I've walked that much in a single day in my life. I mean, what you did on a single day in my whole life. How did that feel?
It depended on the day and how much food I had and whether it was raining or not. But I have always been an athlete. Like for me, it was always, I think that also walking the Camino del Norte
Yeah,
was in preparation for it, or hiking up the mountains of the Balkans, being in Bosnia and going to all of those places that are so mountainous and so elevated.
right.
So it was just like, all right, well, I've done that, so why can't I can do this. I work out every day, I move my body every day, I go for walks every day. Like, what's the difference?
Yeah, true, true. What I mean, I'm sure that you have at least one great event, or rather surreal event, that happened throughout this journey, this Western front journey?
I think every day was surreal. I think that,
Everything was surreal. Wow. Okay.
yeah, yeah, like you wake up and you're walking along, like you said, one of the most tragic places in all of
Right.
history. And every day, like you have, like there's a conflict, you're studying conflict, but there's a conflict inside of you too,
Okay.
because you're like, okay, there was this tragic war, but there's also this beautiful landscape.
Hmm.
And so, how do you find balance between the two? How do you come upon a cemetery and not just be debilitated by it? Why does that not just stop you from
Hmm.
going on, from walking further? But then you see the beautiful, beautiful terrain. You see the forests, the mountains, the rivers, the rolling hills, and you think, what else is out there? What else can I see?
So that kept you going, I guess.
Very much so.
Yeah. What was the dynamic that you planned your walk by? I mean, was it that you were visiting certain scenes, or certain you were guided by events, or it was just like you saying, "Yeah, I'm going to walk however much I can on a day, and then we'll see where it takes me." So how organized was that trip, or like journey overall?
Like I like to think I'm fairly organized in my life. I like structure. I like having a plan. I like putting that plan into place. But also like because I was by myself and I was walking through known and unknown territory, I kind of was a lot more free with my movement. I didn't beat myself up too much and say, oh, I have to do this. There were certain places
Yeah.
that I really wanted to see that I missed, especially in the mountains or anywhere, because even if you are an avid hiker or a long walker, the thought of going 3 miles or 5 miles out of your way and then having to make up those miles on the way back, it was just, I kind of was a little bit more forgiving if I missed something. But I also was walking through, the battles of the Western Front. So, you go to the Vosges, you see the mountain battles, the Alpine battles, and then you come to Verdun, which was one of the
Mhm.
most tragic battles of the war. And then you move on to the Marne and you go to Reims, where, that whole city was practically destroyed. And then you go to the side, like it's just that it's a never-ending walk through history.
Right, right. And I get it's much more layered, and I get what you're talking about. I'm like a serial killer's dream, because I'm call myself an ADHD hiker, you know. I'm just going and, oh yeah, what's there? And then what's there? And so I keep getting lost all the time because I want to see everything, but you can't see everything. And I hope you've had this kind of feeling of fulfilledness, in a way that you, even though you haven't seen everything because it's humanly impossible, I guess, you've brought something back with you or in you. If so, can you describe? I know it's not an easy question, but can you describe what it is, what it is that made you, a greater person after this journey?
I mean, there's so there that is a complicated question because there's so many, like you said, there's so many layers
Yeah.
to it. And, I think that there was never a doubt that I couldn't do it. So I think that I already knew I was that person. I already knew that I was going to complete. I mean, there were days though that I was like, why am I doing this? What is the purpose? What is the point? Like
Right.
who cares? Do I care? Does it matter that much to me? But
Uh-huh.
then, now as I am 4 years away from the journey, it's still happening. It's still, there are moments that I go back to, there are memories that I revisit. And so it made me a more like I think that this was a very spiritual journey. I don't think
Mhm.
that it was just this historical journey. I don't think it was a physical journey. I think that it was really, what does spirituality mean? What does spirit mean? What does being out in nature mean when you not only see the natural world, but human nature at the same time.
Yeah.
And where do we find the balance? So I think the more I think about this journey, the more it means to me, the more that I give it meaning, because it changed my world, it changed my life, and it changed the way I look at the world.
And let's talk about the fact that you did this insane length as a woman alone, right? How would you like how did you feel while walking alone, in a different continent as a woman?
I mean, I don't lean into that very much. I think that, there's a lot, and not to say that women shouldn't be careful, and women should not walk with awareness and be very vigilant,
Mm-hmm.
because that's, we are women, and that could be anyone really. But I think for me, I love to be alone. I love solitude.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, and also I am a New Yorker, so I carry myself in a very different way than maybe other people do. And it maybe not confidence, but it's courage maybe, or just a different way of approaching. Like if I want to live in the naivete of nothing bad is going to happen to me, I'm going to believe in that. I'm going
Yeah,
to
yeah,
sit
yeah.
there and, call for protection, call for all of the guidance, that I'm not putting myself, I never ever felt like I was putting myself in danger.
Right.
I never felt like, that and I also have never put myself in a situation where I where, not that people do that. It's just, I always keep my head on a swivel. I will always be very, very, very hyper aware of everything that's happening around me at all times.
Right.
So I think that that gives me a little bit more strength and courage to walk in the world alone as a woman.
And preparedness as well, like
Yes.
while you're monitoring. And it's fantastic that you said that you prefer solitude, or like you like solitude. Yeah, you like solitude as a New Yorker. How do you cope with that in your everyday life? Because New York is kind of busy, it seems.
Well, I'm not in New York City, so I'm along
All right.
Long Island.
Ah,
So it's
nice.
very, very different. So if I want to
Yeah.
be alone, I can be alone. If I want to be around people, I can be around people. And I am very lucky that I have found a balance between the two. Like when I want to see my friends, I hang out with my friends. When I want to see with my family, I do that. And then when I want to be alone, don't try to find me.
Amazing. Because you will be alone. In
Yeah,
our
yeah.
preliminary talk, we were talking about the difference between journey and travel, because it seems that there is this new trend. Uh, I mean, it's not new. I don't know how to say that more directly, but there seems to be this what we call the Instagram traveler. People go to places, do their quick selfie, and then they move on. Uh,
Yes.
and not that I haven't done it before, but we were talking about there should be a differentiation between the two, like travel and journey. Like I think it was in Don DeLillo's book. I think it was in White Noise, where there is this red barn, and everyone goes there to take a photo of the red barn, but people just go there because it's famous. It's not about the journey itself. It's about just taking a picture of that famous red barn. And something similar has been happening, like with all the places. I mean, even some tourist attractions have this kind of sign on the floor, like the perfect selfie spot or something like that.
Yeah.
So, what is your because definitely what you did, or you have been doing rather, is closer to what I would call journey. What is your comment on that? Would you agree that there is this kind of differentiation of
Yes, very.
travel?
I think that and we spoke about it over email too, that, that kind of travel, if that works for people, because sometimes people have only a certain amount of time to go see things. So they have this checklist of,
Mhm.
to-do list of, I've been there and I've been to these places, and, and that makes them happy and that gives them satisfaction. And but does that stay with them? Do they remember it? Like I'm one of those people that I can go and take a photograph. Like I'm a photographer, but I can go take a photograph of something, but like I want to remember everything that happened outside of the frame as well.
Right, right, exactly.
It's not just taking a picture of the food that I ate. It's a matter of like how much did I love it? How much did
Right.
I, how much if I close my eyes, can I still taste it?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And so I think that's the difference between travel, like, the Instagram influencers and people that actually travel. It's not to say that one is purposeless and one is purposeful. It's just that they're two different ways of approaching traveling.
Right, right.
And so, but also that being said, when I was walking, I did actually do a little interlude to Paris, and I got to Paris and I was like, holy, what is going on? There was like a street rave and everybody was, living their life. And I was like, wait, I just had so much quiet for so long. And now I'm in Paris and everybody is just doing Parisian things or doing influencer things or, just taking photographs for the sake of taking photographs or being there for the sake of being there and not being present.
Exactly. Right, right. Did you, was it the first time you'd been to Paris that day?
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no. I
Have
was
you ever had the Paris syndrome? Like you get disappointed and oh, okay, so Eiffel Tower should look better, and it's not, so I'm disappointed. Have you ever had this?
I'm older, so the first time I went to Paris was when I was 22 years old.
All right, so last year.
Yeah, yeah, last year. No, no, no. Yeah, last year. Thanks,
Oh,
Schultz.
it was a smooth step, I guess. So
Yeah,
what
no, definitely.
happened? What
Last year, yeah, I was
happened?
22. Yeah, yeah. But I was young, and this was when the Eiffel Tower wasn't surrounded by plexiglass and long lines. Like you can actually walk underneath the Eiffel Tower,
Okay.
and if you wanted, like you didn't need tickets for everything. You can just show up. So it wasn't, it was a different experience. But yes, I think going to what you said, like the last time I was in Paris, I was like, really, listen, Paris is Paris,
Yeah.
but I was let down by it because I'm standing there going to see Monet's water lilies that he painted during World War One. He painted
Ah,
them as he
nice,
heard the guns going off along the front. And all these people were just, and on the wall, it says, please be silent, respect the artist's wishes.
nice.
Everybody was laughing, and not to say that there should not be joy and enjoyment, but there are places that you go that are solemn, that are meant to be witnessed in silence.
Exactly.
And I don't think that we surround ourselves with so much noise,
Hmm.
and that noise is not always necessary.
Hmm. Hmm. That's true. That's true. I have like it's a really a fascinating topic. And as you were talking about the painting, I was thinking of people visiting or revisiting Auschwitz,
Yes.
and that's a place which could be, one of this, like a horrible example, horrible in the sense of best example of certain, historical remembrance. And I do believe that these places have their own energies.
Yes.
And I mean, this might seem a little bit more far-fetched, but I have this idea of our inner compass. Somehow we are tuned or fine-tuned as we grow older to certain things and places. So I was wondering, because throughout, popular culture, I believe that there are more Second World War stories. It seems a bit more recent. So I kept wondering, since we talked for the first time, whether you have found an answer, if there's an answer, why you would do the First World War. Is there, maybe it's you found someone in your family ancestry who had some sort of connection with those places or events. Have you ever thought about it?
I no, because I didn't have none, my grandparents fought in World War II.
Okay.
So they were too young and their parents were too old to have fought in, not too old, but like they did not participate in World War One because they had left Poland and they had left Italy to come to America. And
Hmm.
so I didn't have that tie, familial tie
Right.
to World War One, but I just had that soul ache, like you said, like we are drawn to certain energies.
Right.
We are, and like you said, like going to Auschwitz. I was in Poland last year and I didn't go to Auschwitz because it just felt like it didn't the Holocaust is a tragedy beyond tragedies,
Right.
but it made it seem like, oh, go to Auschwitz and like go on this tour, and that it was almost like almost like war porn.
What is that? Sorry? War?
War porn, like
Okay.
that there's yeah, the idea that like you go to these places and you are, it's like it's just interesting. So for World War One, for me, it was more an all encompass. It was just like when I look at World War Two, I look at world. You can't have World War Two without World War One. And like if you really are looking at history, well, what's you have World War One. Like why are the Crusades not a world war?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Like
Yeah.
you look at all these wars and they're all the same. It's just that
Yeah.
maybe we're not as connected to World War One because then we really have to think about what it meant.
Uh-huh. 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 Yeah, that's always heavy because it's history repeats itself, of course, and then we have to. I think we got to learn. We should learn about all these past mistakes that we certainly did. But war porn is a very interesting phrase. I haven't heard of that. It's like the catastrophe tourism or like dark tourism. No, like
Yes.
you have this perverted enjoyment in visiting places, these tragic places, maybe, and then without respect, I would say. Sometimes people don't respect these places, and uh,
Yes.
and that's another topic. I mean, I'm not judging here. It's just something that came to my mind. But we have a responsibility here on the show. I would like you to give the worst advice for future travelers. What is the absolute worst advice that they can not use before their travel?
Oh, the worst advice.
Yeah.
Don't go. Don't
Don't
go.
go. That's the worst one. Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. Just stay at home and lie on the sofa. Um,
Yeah, be an armchair explorer. Nothing wrong with that too, because honestly, like what the worst advice? I don't know. Don't save any money before you go. Don't
that's good.
just
That's good.
go for economic ruin. Just
Exactly.
F it. F it. Just
F
like
it.
YOLO.
You can say,
YOLO.
fuck it.
Yeah,
It's
fuck it.
allowed. Yeah, it's
Right.
I love that. So don't save. If you saved, don't go.
Yeah.
These are very bad advice. Can
Keep
we
your mind closed, keep your life in a box, you
exactly
know. Stay
yeah, there was
in one place.
exactly for the rest of
Don't
your
even go anywhere in your imagination, all those
all
things.
those things. Yeah, don't make it meaningful. There was a
Ooh,
movie.
don't talk to locals.
Oh, don't talk to look.
Yeah, don't talk to locals.
Love it.
Speak English at all times.
Yeah, don't even try to uh, get get your meaning through. Like just if you can't talk the local language, don't try. Just keep talking in English.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's that's good. There was this movie in 2000, I think, The Beach,
Yes.
the Leonardo DiCaprio movie, and there was this message that I used to live by, and then I get old. And the message was never refuse an invitation. So whenever I was traveling as well, I didn't refuse a single invitation, and I had more fun than not, Uh,
Yes.
so that might be an inverse bad, which is kind of like a good advice. So how can we to sum up, how can we differentiate between the journey and the travel? What is your comparison or differentiation between the two?
Well, I think that it depends on what you hold in your heart,
Hmm.
because someone can go and spend a weekend somewhere and it's the only time that they have off, and they get to sit with themselves and truly experience where they're at, and that could be a journey in itself. For me, I think that journeys, for me personally, journeys are longer. They're purposeful, and traveling is just, people travel for work, people travel to their jobs every day, people travel and they see things, and or maybe, like, they go to Disney World or whatever.
Hmm.
um, but for some people, like, they're obsessed with Disney World, so like that could be a journey in itself. Like, you could go and you could go to Epcot and see, seven different countries, and not leave America.
Right. I mean, that honestly, that I totally get. As a European, whenever I'm in the States, uh, I I always think about why would you leave America? Because the geography, the nature, everything is there. It was beautiful.
Yeah. No, America is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country. Like, I think that there's so much to see and experience. And, you know, contrary to popular opinion, Americans are, some of them are really, really fantastic and
Yeah.
lovely and
Yes.
and kind and open, and, you know, have good intentions, so I think it's like that reassurance that, like, the world is not terrible, and America is not our government, America is not our politics, America is so many more things. And America's, and just like a lot of other countries, we're not always our history. It's not, it's not black and white.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I like growing up in New York and living in New York. I'm an hour outside of New York City. I'm going there on Friday. Like, for some people, going to New York is like the dream of their lifetime.
Yes, I did that. I did that. And then I said, I don't know if you've heard this phrase before, sorry to interrupt, but I told everyone there, what you gonna do about it?
you you and my nephew would get along. He lives in Michigan, and he's like, I'm walking here. No.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, yeah, like you got, like, you like really take on like a New York persona. Like, you're like, okay, these are what New Yorkers are, so I have to be like that.
Yeah, right, right. And
Yeah.
then so you were saying, sorry, that you're from New York as a New Yorker.
Yeah, like, I'm gonna go into the city like a couple of times in the next couple of weeks. And for me, it's just like, it's another day. But
Right,
then for other people, when I'm traveling, and I think that I'm very lucky, because when I travel and people hear that I'm American, I'm like, oh, I'm from New York, and you see their faces light up.
right.
Like, you're from New York? Oh my God. And then they're like, New York, New York.
New York, New York.
Unique New York, and it just, I think that New York still holds in people's hearts.
Right, right, right. I mean, everyone has something to do with New York. And yeah, and it's an amazing place. That's what I wanted to tell you, that whenever I've been to the United States, I never got a single bad experience except for one, but that was not, that was a different topic. Everyone has been so kind and cool and nice and magical and intelligent and funny to me. It's I really got on well with everyone.
I'm
Brianna,
going to interrupt you now, but that's why I'm going to interrupt you, because that's who you are. So again, energy, you attract who you are. So you're going to have people meet you where you
right,
are at. So if you are kind and sweet and intelligent and fun, you're going to find that more than likely those people are going to be drawn to you.
it's like your vibe attracts your tribe, right?
Yes, very
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Brianna, thank you so much for being here on the show. I don't know. I hope, I mean, we have like 1,243 questions unanswered because it's a huge topic, and I would love to go on. But we have to finish now. So thank you so much. On a scale from 1 to 17, how did you feel about the show?
19, 20.
Amazing.
Maybe
Thank you.
like maybe 57, like maybe,
That's the spirit. That's what I love. Because people ask me why 17, and I say, well, why 10? Like why
Yeah.
why 5? Come on, and they say fair enough. So that's I'm sticking with it. Thank you so much again, Briana, and
Well, thank you so much.
congratulations for your book and your journey, and keep being awesome. This is what the world needs.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
It was.